All right. Hello, everyone. Tonight we are live with Marquez Ghost. Wait, I'm sorry. Let me double check. Uh, are you just going Marcus, or do you pull it out and say Marquez?
It's Marcus.
All right. I want to make sure I didn't mess it up, man. I know you're about 6'10" or something, so want to make sure we don't make that guy mad. All right. So hey, everybody, we got Marques Ogden in here. Our uh, our ex-football player, but there's a lot more that he's doing right now as far as leadership, and he's going to actually help us to get a lot of that information today. So before we get started, let me start off with my cheesy intro.
Have you ever wondered why you struggle to find success or fulfillment or lasting happiness? It's probably because your default wiring is set to lose. The How to Win at Everything podcast looks at real people who have struggled with the same insecurities, fears, doubts, and expectations and found a way to succeed. Why? Their brains are rewired for success. We dive into their thought patterns to show you how to rewire your own brain to win at everything.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Mark, thanks so much for joining us this evening. Um, so I was mentioning a little bit before. Um, we can go down the line, man, and list accolades for you. The thing I guess most of us are going to be thrilled by is the fact that you spent several years in the NFL. Now, as a guy who's about 5'7", I didn't think I had a chance, man. But to know that, hey, there's some information out there from a guy who operated at what's pretty much the highest level in anything, I think thrills me and most of my guests. So I want to get started with bringing you in on that level. Tell us about your football career.
So I went to St. John's College High School, the same high school that Kevin Plank, who is the founder of Under Armour, went to in Washington, D.C., Northwest D.C. Great sports heritage, great education heritage, Catholic high school, a very strong athletic league. Schools like DeMatha, Chase Young, who's with the Washington football team, and also Dwayne Haskins are DeMatha grads, and then I have Gonzaga to good counsel. So it was a really strong league. I remember there was 7 or 8 players from my senior class throughout the entire WCAC that went to the NFL when it came time as we all graduated from college to go into that next level. And from there, from St. John's, I went to Howard University in Washington, D.C. My father went to Howard. He was a Howard Bison. He's actually one of the first class of football players to get full scholarships to play football at Howard. He went there from 1969, 1972. Then I went there from 1990 to 2002. And then I got drafted from Howard University to the National Football League. I'm actually the first and only offensive lineman ever drafted from Howard. I hope that changes soon. But I still have that to the record today. So, again, as a guy that went to college just to play football, and if I was going to get a chance to start for a year, 2, great. But I didn't really go to school for that. I went to school to actually be an investment banker and work on Wall Street and get education and finance, which I have a degree. Well, that's where I studied at Howard. So really and truly, from there, the NFL just came calling as I was drafted in 2003 to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I was Jack Del Rio's first draft class.
Oh, wow. Um, so I like to kind of frame these things in a way where we can really get to the meat of who you are, because the idea behind how to win at everything is that everybody has a story, everybody has a certain work that they're made for, and a certain work that they have to do to get to a level of expertise. So I want to jump right into some of the stuff. Now I read your book, and let me first just talk about my own bias a little bit. Um, I'm thinking, uh, there's a book by a football player, so how much is he really gonna relate to all the struggles of all of us guys who are out here, learning coaching and trying to be coaches and really trying to lead other people. So when I got into it though, man, I was so riveted by the whole story. I'm like, This man has gone through similar stuff to what we were all going through or have gone through and are going through to build up something." So I really want to focus on before you got started in coaching, before you got started into a business, let's go a little bit into your backstory. I would like to call it your origin story. So you're playing football, right? And we all see that as this grand thing, but you didn't start off. You said you're going to school to be into finance and that sort of thing. What did your like coming out of school, going into the NFL? What did you imagine your trajectory would be like?
When I left Howard to go to the National Football League, I really wasn't sure. Like, I got very fortunate, had a really good agent, my brother's agent, Marvin Demoff, and I got to the Hula Bowl, was at the Hula Bowl. I played really well against guys that were at Florida State, Texas. My head coach was Mac Brown, who's now the head coach in North Carolina, Chapel Hill. He was at Texas at the time. And this really and truly, man, is being around all these kind of just phenomenal individuals and people. And so for me, there was no trajectory thought process, which is, hey, I'm going to go play football. I'm going to give it all I got and let the chips fall with me. Because again, I'm a guy who got only one scholarship offer when he left high school. And I'm a guy that was the first and only lineman so far drafted from Howard University. So you don't want to go into something like, oh, I'm going to be this. Like for me, it was just, let's get to there. You're here now. And let's work hard. And because of that, I had almost a 6-year career, and it was absolutely awesome. So, I mean, I didn't really have a trajectory thought process because where I came from, the background, all that kind of stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. So you get into your career. Like you said, you had almost 6-year career. What happened that stopped your career, or why did you stop playing ball?
I had a back injury, so I was playing with the Titans at the time, and I was really not in the best physical shape. So my father, who passed away
Right.
relatively suddenly, suddenly and unexpectedly at 57 years of age. So it was just really, really tough for me. And I tried to come back, and I was just wasn't my heart and head wasn't in like it used to be. My dad was my biggest supporter. So really and truly, I just lost that drive
Hmm.
that I used to have, and it just didn't. Then when my back gave out, and I saw my body wasn't rejuvenating like it used to, and I said,
Yeah.
okay, it's time to time to move on from this game, because if you can't play at a high
Yeah.
level, this game, don't play it because you're going to get hurt. I mean, it's just you're
Yep.
going to get hurt, and
Yeah.
worse yet, you could get somebody else hurt. So that's
Yeah.
why it's time to move on from this game when my back gave out, and I just could not. I couldn't recover the same as
Yeah.
I used to when I was, before I had that really bad injury, and also before I
Right.
stopped really taking care of my body in the same fashion.
So I know in the book you talk about the fact that your dad passed, and that obviously is going to affect anybody. It's going to affect all of us. Um, but based on what you're saying in the book, it sounds like at that point that really did, I don't know, I guess cut off some of the motivation that you had and that sort of thing. Can you kind of go a little bit into uh, how much that played a role into
Well,
your stopping?
well, yeah, I mean, it played a huge role because my father was one of my biggest, well, not one of, he was my biggest supporter throughout
Yeah.
everything. So when you lose that support system, when you lose that cheering section, when you lose that individual who, you had a bad practice, you can give a call. You had a bad game, you can
Yeah.
give a call. You had a bad day, you can give them a call. You made some mistakes off the field, you can give them a call. All these different things that I had in him, and then no longer have that. It was like
Yeah.
not my reason for playing died, but my reason for continue to push through all the
Yeah. Having
stuff that people
resilience.
don't see at the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to it that people don't see, from the
Yeah.
practices and the rehab to having to get yourself ready to practice and get yourself ready to travel, ready to play. The
Yeah.
the the lifestyle can be very I won't call it isolated. It can be
Hmm.
very just difficult at times. It really can be, because it's a very emotional, stressful,
Yeah.
up and down job, and you have to be cognitive throughout the whole process. But unfortunately, when we're human beings, like we all are, we don't sometimes know how to stop the emotional trauma, the emotional
Yeah.
difficulty
Yeah.
from getting into our everyday lives.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel there's such a high divorce rate in that. It's talking about all athletics, for football and
Yeah.
coaches, because it's just so much of a mental toll. It's a lot you have to go through. Then if you're not winning, like take the Jets.
Yeah.
I mean, you're 0-12. I mean, right now. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're,
Yeah.
you're,
You imagine what kind of stress they're under.
you're Anthony Lynn. My old running back coach from the Jaguars was Anthony Lynn, and now he's probably going to get fired from San Diego. I mean, they lost 45-0 embarrassingly to the Patriots on Sunday. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean. So there's a lot of things that go into it that this game can really mess with your psyche if you're not
Yeah.
careful. And I lost that individual who could ground me if I was having a bad day.
And I remember reading now your dad is the one who was supporting you and got you into this into that private school, right? He's putting the money away for this, even when it was a case where it was tough, it was slim pickings, but it was still him who was giving you that support. So yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. Um, so let's move it forward though, because most of this I wanna keep most of this focused on what you're doing now, but I do want to set the plate for our audience to kind of understand where you came from. Now, after you leave the NFL, you started a construction business, if I'm not mistaken, right? All
Mm-hmm.
right. Now, how did that go? Did that work out for you right off the bat? How did it go? Was it a bad deal for you? How did that work?
Huh. So my construction company, King Premier Enterprises, was something I started about maybe 6 months after I retired from the NFL, after I got through feeling sorry for myself, not transitioning well. And I ended up starting the business, and we were doing really, really well in the beginning. We were a small, not developer. We were a small contractor that did some real estate, commercial projects. We did some real estate, residential projects, and we
Hmm.
did a lot of demolition work and concrete work. But unfortunately, when one of my mentors went out of business, there left a huge void for site work, which is what we got into. And we became the largest African American subcontractor in the city of Baltimore, state of Maryland, for 2 years in the area of site work. But the problem was we took on a line of business that we need to have a lot more funding for. We didn't have that. And as a result of that lack of funding,
Hmm.
we ended up getting stretched on a couple of projects. We made it work. But unfortunately, in 2013, we hit a really bad snag where we hit a job where the job site went dry, and it took us about 90 days, and between $2 to $3 million, anywhere in that number. Sometimes
Oh.
2.5, and sometimes it's somewhere between $2-3 million that we spent to get the job site dry. And when the job site did finally get dry, right, Kelly, it's like they did not repay the change order that they said they were going to pay. As a result of that, we ended up having to file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy because I got overextended on the project, and
Yeah.
of course that was that. And so I ended up. So April 2012, I tell you about, I was a multi-millionaire, and then April 2013, bankrupt. Well, no, I wasn't. I didn't even file a bankruptcy yet. I was so broke that I couldn't even file the bankruptcy
Oh.
to its full. I was trying to get myself restarted in that process because I was just so broke that I could not even afford the bankruptcy.
Okay, so we've seen a little bit of a roller coaster here. You're up, you're down, you're up again, you're down. Let me backtrack. What gives you so obviously there's a physical aspect when it comes to football, right? You can't coach height, you can't coach speed, well maybe, but you can't coach size and that sort of thing. What made you resilient enough to say, I'm going to go through all the tough parts, all the hard parts to become the first offensive lineman from Howard to get drafted to the NFL?
Willie, what happened was we got a strength coach my last year who's still a good friend of mine to this day. And the strength coach really gave me what I needed in the mental confidence side to really push
Okay.
and work out and get myself in the best position to be drafted potentially if that was going to happen. So between him and then really working hard with my brother and, trainers and all the other people
Mm.
that helped me, it gave me the best chance to get to that point. But again, my strength coach played a major role in that because, he really was a big, big part of me developing the work habits and the necessary
Mm.
strength and skill sets and speed and endurance that I needed to get to the next level.
Okay, so you had somebody in place who helped you out with that. What about you mentally? What's your mindset at that point? What are you thinking? How are you thinking? Even once the strength coach comes in, what are you thinking that gets you over that hump that says it's much easier to party to do anything else, but you're doing the work?
Well, what got me over that point was when I asked my brother, "Okay, Jonathan, what do you think about my chances?" Because he was playing, he was a great tackle in the league at the time. And said, "Marcus, look, I'm just going to tell you straight up." He said,
Mm.
"You're on people's radar, so you got to develop the mindset that you're
Mm.
going to actually go for success, go for it all, give it 1 year of your life. Party, do it, but do it very, very reduced than compared to your freshman, sophomore, junior year.
Sure, sure.
You're going to go out and have fun. Do it less compared to freshman, sophomore, junior year. And, just understand that if you're going to make this a opportunity or a possibility, you're going to have to give it all you've got, and you have to have the mindset to do that. If you're not going to have that mindset, do not even bother trying to go to
Mm.
the next level. Just have fun your last year at Howard, ball out, have a good time, party,
Right.
all that stuff. You'll dominate because you've already been a 3-year starter. But if you want to be where I am, it's got to
Mm.
change. And that was the
Okay.
mindset shift that I needed to get my brother giving me what I needed to give me at that point.
I like that. So to start off, you got your dad who's a big supporter. You got your brother who's giving you flat out honest information, and you got your strength coach. Now, once you get into the NFL, you have a career, last 5 6 years, which is typically still more than the average. After you leave the NFL, you said that for a while you're feeling sorry for yourself. What was that about? What happened there?
Well, you start feeling sorry for yourself because you lose your identity. You're like, I'm taking notes on this for myself because I always take notes on podcasts. I always felt that I didn't give it my best, even though I did, and I
Okay.
know that I did. I'm like, well, what if I hadn't gotten hurt? What if this had happened? What if that had happened? Well, in reality, I realized today I could play the what if game until I'm blue in
Yeah.
the face.
Yeah.
I can do that all day. The thing is what is it really going to get to the point where I'm like, all right, this has to change. This needs to get things going in the right fashion. So really and truly, I was feeling sorry for myself because I had lost my identity. I had been playing football since I was 13 years old. And
Yeah.
now almost 28 years old, 15 years later, poof, it's over, done, finished, no
Hmm.
more. And, when you're known as a football player in high school, college, an
Yeah.
NFL athlete, they don't have that anymore. It's tough. I mean, I saw one of my good friends, a guy's name was Sherrod Martin, who was a second-round draft pick out of Troy State, played for the Bears and Panthers. He made a post today on social media saying, man, I had my time, but I miss it. And he
Yeah.
said,
I can imagine. Yeah.
a statement. He said, fellas, if you're in the league, enjoy it now because the time doesn't last forever. And he's right. It doesn't last forever. Now, I'm very fortunate now. I'm doing what I love, and I wake up every day,
Yeah.
and my days go quick.
Yep.
I'm doing podcasts, I'm sales calls, coaching
Yep.
calls. It's boom, 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 boom. But I remember the days where my days were slow, and it was like just nails to a chalkboard. It was
Yeah.
Freddy Krueger's hand, on the chalkboard. I remember those days, like when I was working at Merrill Lynch. I got fired in April 2013. that was difficult. When I went to the construction company the day after I was fired from Maryland, I got a job there for only 5 days before I got fired again. It was nails on a chalkboard. Even in
Yeah.
my construction company near the end, when we were making a lot of money, right? But when we started going to the whole like spending of money, like the days were long. I would get up at like 5 in the morning, be at work at 6. And the days would just move so slow because I just didn't like it. And it was
Yeah.
all meetings and fires. And, it'd be 9 o'clock. I thought I'd been at work for like 12 hours. I've only been there for 3 hours. Today, now, it moves like that. But to get where I'm at, it didn't move like this. The days were
Yeah.
still long. I went, I started speaking in 2013, September, and 2.5 years, not one paid job, not
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
zero. So I've had to really work on a high level,
Hmm.
a hard level, really, to get where I am today, where my days move with speed and efficiency versus in the past where it moved with like a sloth or it moved
Yeah.
like
I
a
mean, you're
turtle.
a turtle. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
a turtle whose days never ends.
That's that difference with living with purpose, right? You
Mhm.
living with purpose, everything flies because you're always getting closer to something. So look, I want to pick your mind just a little bit more now when it comes to uh, uh, what what got you off the ground when you were deciding to start this construction company? Like what mindset were you in then? Did anybody give you a hand, or how did you get that started? Because usually for most of us, when we hit what we feel like is the bottom, we're usually stuck, and we don't see a way up. We don't see a way to get up. What got you up? How were you able to move into something new and
So
be successful at it?
what happened was, do you remember Congressman? Well, let me go back. So what it was is I went to a program at USC during my NFL career, USC development, and it was great, right? It was amazing. And I'm making a point here of like, I got the education when I was still playing, but then
Hmm.
I met my business partner, early 2008, and we got into business and started the business. And he was the operations person, or so I thought. But that came back to bite me later on because he really was
Hmm.
the operations person. But do you remember Congressman Elijah Cummings?
Sounds familiar. Yeah.
Congressman Cummings was a congressman from Baltimore,
Okay.
Maryland. He was good friends with Obama. He passed away maybe about 2 or 3 years, about 3 years ago. He was really good friends with John Lewis and all those guys in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And he was at an event at Morgan State. And I'll never forget this. He said it was a minority contractor event at Morgan State. And I'll never forget Congressman Cummings saying this. He said, one of you all in this room will become the next minority contractor who not just sits at the non-minority table, you
Yeah.
create your own table.
Mm.
And that was what I needed to hear from someone who I respected and I
Gotcha.
thought was an amazing leader, which he was. I mean, he was an amazing idol for reform and for change. And if you look him up, just one of the most eloquent speakers and just a very well-respected congressman. And he did a lot for the state of Maryland, especially Baltimore City. And
Hmm.
that was what I needed to get myself going in that direction. And that's kind of how it all started to push itself forward in that light about me saying, hey, I need to make this change. Let's make it.
Interesting.
And that's kind of how it came about.
Okay, so we're getting a little bit of a picture. We're seeing some of these foundational pieces where uh there are pieces where you got people jumping in and you got some support, but for the people out here of us who we have support, but maybe we're not seeing it. Maybe we're not able to participate fully the way you kind of did. Um, what's the main sort of thing you have to have inside of you, or the thing we have to look for inside of us that says look for that support or react to that support? Well, what would you say is the main kind of mental piece we have to have?
The main thing you have to have is the skill of active listening. If
Hmm.
you're not willing to listen to people when they speak to you and give you their time and their knowledge, their information, why even bother engaging in a conversation? And
Hmm.
that's how I lost my company. My best employee tried to tell me we're making mistakes on this whole
Mm.
process. And because of the whole fact I didn't listen to him, I literally said to myself, wow, Marcus, you didn't listen to your best employee. Like he predicted, if we didn't make a change,
Wow.
it's supposed to say we're going to go bankrupt. I shunned him. 2 weeks later, he resigns. Gave me his resignation paper that following Monday. Resigned 2 weeks later. Like he predicted, Kelly, 6 months later, bam, I'm
Wow.
bankrupt. I lost it all. So I didn't actively listen to my best employee who was looking at the numbers, who was one of my senior executives. And
Yep.
because of that, I lost everything. So if you're a person right now trying to find your way and people are speaking into you and giving you time, their time, especially if they're more successful than you are, they're giving you their time of day as a coach or as a mentor, giving you some advice here or there, and you're not actively listening, then it doesn't matter because no matter what they say to you, you're not going to hear it. And if you don't hear it, you're not going to grow, become
You're
better.
not gonna act on it.
You're
Yeah.
going to be what I call a fixed mindset.
All right, you guys, we got a foundational piece right there. Active listening to actually get yourself off the starting block. So, okay, so you got this business. You're bankrupt. It falls again. You're down again, man. A lot of people are staying down after that. What happens that makes you say, "Let me pursue something, anything else?" Honestly, because you're what you're doing a janitor work at this point.
Yeah, well, so here's how it went. So lost the company, right? 2013,
Mm-hmm.
basically March. I packed up everything I owned and I, put down first month's rent deposit, moving everything. So I had pretty much everything in my bank account was used to get to Raleigh from Baltimore because I knew living in Baltimore was going to be toxic because I had 177 creditors on my bankruptcy docket.
Mm.
177. My bankruptcy attorney, which by the way, it was a $3,300 bill to pay to wipe out $5.5 million of debt. When I moved to Raleigh, I had $400 to my name. After my NFL career, after my 8-figure a year construction company, after all the money that my dad had left me from his passing, to my investments, to what I had worked hard for my money. I was smart with my money. I bought used cars. I had a nice, very quaint townhome in Baltimore. Didn't have any expensive jewelry or any of that stuff. I had my money. I had put money away. I had a very successful business. I was very responsible. I just made one really stupid decision. And because I made that decision, I lost it all. So I moved to Raleigh. I had $400. That's it. I was eating out of, basically I was about to, we were almost homeless, pretty much. Like the plan really was my fiance, who's now my wife, and my stepdaughter were going to go live with her parents, which were in the area. And I was going to stay at a homeless shelter if we had got kicked out of our rental property. That was the plan. But the NFL stepped in and said, okay, Marcus, we are going to give you an opportunity. We're going to pay your bills for 4 months. We're not giving you the money. We'll give it to the creditors, right? It came through a trust fund. And I tell everybody, we all can the hope is in life, if we struggle, someone sees enough in us to give us one opportunity to make a change. That's all we can ask for, right? So that was my one opportunity. Took that, so they paid my bills so I didn't go homeless. We were eating out of food. Like I said, they didn't give me any money. We were eating out of food pantries, and we were spending $50 a week if we had to for stuff that's all we had, right? $400 until I got my paycheck was 6 weeks away. So that was that. Finally got a paycheck, had maybe I had like $1,800 in the bank, trying to get our way back. Well, the problem was I was struggling at Merrill Lynch. So I was failing all my practice tests. I was focusing on the wrong things. And so what happened is I ended up getting fired from Merrill Lynch. All my fault. I then go to a construction company the next day. A guy I played basketball with at the gym owned a company, said I need some help. I was like, yes. Give me a company truck, company phone, laptop, Gave me first week
Wow.
the same day, $1,000 cash. Told my wife, we're back. $1,000 cash. I got a company truck. He's bought me this new phone. And my wife was like, "Did you get a contract?" I was like, "What do I need a contract for? I mean, you see this in the driveway, my truck and a phone. What do I need a contract for? He's not gonna fire me. I'm his guy, right?" 5 days later,
Hmm.
I'm fired.
Wow.
They shut the company down. That parts division, I'm out of a job. I was working, teaching football to the youth, businessman, trying to get that going. Literally, what happened next is I ended up getting a job as a custodian. One of my clients had a janitorial business, needed some extra help. We were running low on money because we were just trying to live. The bills
Yeah.
were going to start coming back around October the following month. What do? My wife's working, but then she's working, but I need to make another job. I take a job as a custodian, making $8.25 an hour on the graveyard shift. A year
So,
prior, I was making close to half.
hold on. Yeah, okay. I was going to go right to that because I want to make a comparison.
So in September 2012, I was making $500,000 a year as a CEO of my company. September 2013, making $8.25 an hour. My checks were $311.13 a week after tax.
Yeah.
Yep, that was my.
How do you get up from that? Because we're talking about this we're talking about leadership, and everybody pay attention to this idea because this is going to be major. Every single one of us is a leader in our own lives because no one else gets to make our choice. So even if it's the case where we say we don't want to make a choice, we're making a choice. So every one of us is a leader. So Marcus, when you say that you're down to $311 a week, you got to make some choices. What do you do next?
So from there, I'm working as a custodian, and I'm like, just doing what I have to do, surviving, working, and then I had a pivotal moment like 2 weeks after I started working when I was taking out the trash like I always did, 4:30 in the morning, getting ready to round my shift out. That's graveyard shift, 10 to 5, that's graveyard. And so I was finishing up, throwing the trash in the trash. And then from there, I'll never forget this. It's my spoiled milk moment. And actually, I just went back to that old trash can. I'll see if I can try to find the picture and show it to you if I can. The old trash can of when I was out there, at that job. And literally what happened is when I went to throw the trash in the trash can, someone spoiled milk and rotten
Mhm.
banana peel and everything you could think about horrible protruding smell got on my bare skin, my clothes, my body, everything. And at that moment, I realized, wow, if I don't make a change today, my life will always be right there.
Yes.
I had my
Yep.
head in my hand. Oh, here it is right here. So let me find this right here for you. So this is a picture of me. Oops, I gotta go this way.
Yep.
You see that right there?
Yep.
That's
Yep.
that's the same trash can that I had the spoiled milk moment, and that's a reenactment about 6 months ago. That was what I was like. I had my head in my hands and I was crying
Yeah.
because I realized that my life had gotten to this point where I
Yeah.
lost it all because there was no accountability, no ownership, no structure. So this
Mm.
is my spoiled milk moment that I reenacted a little over 7 years ago, September 2013, taking the trash out. So that's the
Now,
exact same. This is the exact same trash can that I
mm.
had the moment at in downtown Raleigh.
Let me ask you about that because see, you mentioned something that I think is a very powerful piece. Um, you said that there was no accountability. Um, now you also mentioned, and I think any of us who are dads who struggle, we know this feeling. Your head's in your hands, you're crying because of the fact that you understand what's at stake. You know that there are people dependent on you. You know that you know what you could be doing. You know that what you should be doing. You know what your potential is. At what point during this spoiled milk moment does it flash for you? What's that first thought that clicks that says I'm not gonna be here. I'm not gonna stay here. I'm doing something different.
First
What is that?
thought,
What is it?
first thought was I don't want anyone, especially NFL athletes, because unfortunately I had become the minute I filed a bankruptcy and it was on the docket, I became a statistic of an NFL athlete that filed a bankruptcy after his career. I hated the feeling. So I had to relaunch myself. And then again, that's what happened. When I had the moment, I said, I don't want any retired brotherhood that I can help to be where I am. I don't want anybody to feel like that. And that's when I said, I'm going to get off this curb. I'm going to go home. I'm going to write down the 3 strengths I have and figure out what does that mean for my future. Wrote them down. I'm good with people. I'm good at speaking. And I want to help inspire others. So I'm going to be a keynote speaker. And I'm going to be the next Tony Robbins. I'm like, yes, I'm going to tell my wife, this is what I'm going to do. We're going to do it. We're going to be awesome. It's going to be grills. It's going to be grill. We're going to be great. No. 2.5 years, not one paid job. Not one.
Now, what were you doing for that 2.5 years? What were you doing?
I was working I ran football camps. I did training. I did odd jobs. I was a clown at birthday parties, basically playing like, I didn't put the paint on or the bozo, hair. I would play football with kids at a party for $125 for the hour, which is great money, but like that's what it was. I was a birthday clown playing football with kids at birthday parties, appearances, anything I could do to just make a buck. That's what it was. Yeah. And then I finally got my first paid speaking job in April 2016. So it was 2.5 years. Got that with Miller Mock College. And it was $1,500 for 30 minutes. It was the keynote speaker at their 100th commencement graduation. And from there, I just kept working and kept tweaking and kept learning and kept tweaking and kept learning. And I tried to coach people that same year. That was a flop. That didn't work out. I had no clients, nothing. Like I tried doing the leadership academy, which worked for a little while. Then that got burned out around 2018. Like, glad I didn't keep that going now because that wouldn't be working at all today. So literally I had to kind of go tweak this, that, and the other. But then what really changed my life is I got coached by 2 people. One was Mel Robbins. I'm familiar with Mel Robbins. Mel Robbins, who wrote the 5-second rule. I met her in Boston. I was on her audiobook, Kick Ass with Mel, which was the #1 most globally downloaded audiobook in the summer of 2018. And she told me, Marcus, you're living a life where you're always worried about what others think. You're living the imposter syndrome. Like, you're not pushing yourself because you're always worried about what people think about you and are you going to be accepted by them with what you're choosing in life. I had to break that. And then I got coached at Penn State by NAPSA program, which was an amazing program, 5-day intensive. And those 2 coaching people, one program, one person, changed my life forever. In the last 4.5 years, mainly more the last 3, but the last 4.5 years total, I've worked for 17 Fortune 500 companies as a speaker. Of the 17, 10 are Fortune 100. My hourly rate now is over 10 times what my first speaking engagement was. Nice. I've written 2 best-selling books. I relaunched my coaching business in 2018. I now have 35 one-on-one clients. One of my consulting clients represents 35% of our nation's catch-up, red gold quality. They are 35% of our nation's catch-up through their branded and private label side. And so, like, on the private label side, Walmart, Costco, BJ's, all the major grocery stores will buy the ketchup from Red Gold, put their own label on.
This white label.
Or they'll do it on the branded side where you see the Red Gold brand. It's an amazing family-owned business. And the point I'm getting at, Kelly, is you have a title of success coach on your screen. To me, success is in the eye of the beholder. Like, I don't tell it like it's money or fame or notoriety. I I don't care about that. I've made a lot of money. I've been enough to athlete. I've been drafted. That doesn't excite me. That doesn't matter. If you do people right and give them what they need, you will have your own success. You will have, now whatever that might be. It might be money, might be time, might be family. It doesn't matter. But success is what I tell everybody. It's in the eye of the beholder. Don't look at other people. Don't play the social media comparison game. Don't worry about what they're traveling. Don't worry about all that. You have no idea what somebody's life is really like. If you're going to start thinking about and trying to compare your success to others, you will literally drive yourself.
Yep, you're going to lose every time.
You're in a Freddy Krueger nightmare. You're going to hope you wake up. You just can't get up. You're going to keep running from those demons.
100% agree. Now, look, I want to pause right here for 1 second because I want to make sure we make time because you mentioned some of your accolades, which I think more than so like you said, it's not about making money. It's not about this picture we have in our head of what success always is. To me, when I look at success, I look at who keeps getting up, who keeps getting up. And when I think about where you come from, it may look like on the outside, like, oh, well, you had every chance in the world because you're a big NFL athlete, blah, blah, blah. But to me, like we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, that almost seems to add extra pressure because now, whereas someone else may say, well, yeah, I hit rock bottom. Rock bottom isn't the same if you've been up higher. Rock bottom isn't the same if everyone has this expectation of you. So when I look at you, man, I think of the biggest success when you're sitting there in front of that garbage can crying because I know that feeling. I know having to take care of my wife, having to take care of my son, and sitting in the car crying because I don't know what I'm going to do next. I don't know where that money's going to come from. To me, the guy who gets back up and starts to work, that's a success. Like that's how it reads to me. So I want to make sure I take time because you're sharing this with people, right? I mentioned earlier that I grabbed your book. Let me make sure I bring up the information about the book first. Um, there we go. No, actually, let me give you a chance to talk about this first because you actually have some courses that you're offering, right? That are actually going to help to teach this.
Yeah, so we're working with a group called Elevate. They're out of London, and it's actually interesting. They found me, Kelly, on LinkedIn, and started following me and our content, and like, wow, this is awesome, and kind of get into that next point. And we're launching a master class starting in January. It's $9.95 a month, and we're going to focus on pivot, how you pivot. I tell you all the time, I'm not going to give you theories and like, oh, go and pivot. Oh, go do. No. It's not a theory base. It's literally going to give you a step-by-step, play-by-play action step in how to pivot. The P stands for poised. The I stands for inspired. The V stands for victory mindset. The O stands for observing. The T stands for tactician. Anytime in life we pivot, look at the following. You have to be poised. You have to be confident and assured of yourself that you can do what you're going to do. You have to inspire people. You have to breathe life into them to show them and prove to them that the new phase of your life that you're transitioning into or pivoting into, you can help not just yourself, but them as well. V is a victory mindset. There's 3 types of mindsets. A fixed mindset, totally negative. Think you know everything, you can't get any better. That's the one to be. Growth mindset's good. You worry about your own growth, but again, listen to that word, your own. Well, 2 words, your own growth. Victory mindset, you're concerned about your growth, your teammates' growth, your employees' growth, your clients' growth, your potential clients' growth. It's everybody in your sphere. When you have that mindset, you can reach everything. The O is observe. What are other people doing in your industry? What's working? What's not? If you're going to look at something new, figure out from other people, what are they doing? How are they having success? How are they reaching their goals? If they're not reaching their goals, why coming up short? Observe. Put your eyes, your ears, and pay attention. T, be a tactician. Strategy to me means absolutely nothing. Tell me one time, I got it. What are you going to do action step wise to achieve the goals and hit the finish line and go
Mhm.
above and beyond? What are you going to do? That's pivot. Be
I
poised,
like that.
inspire, victory mindset, observing tactician. People pay me thousands of dollars to coach them. Thousands of dollars. The thing is, everybody can't afford that. And you know what? I don't want anybody to hire me that can't afford it, because I don't want your money if you can't afford it, because I'm not in the business of being a vampire and taking from people and sucking their blood. Like,
That's
I want
right.
to help you. I don't want to take from you, right?
Mhm.
You invest what you can afford. But for $9.95 a month, you can learn what I went through to be 8 years ago. $400 in my bank account, flat broke, bankrupt, no, home taken from me, both cars repossessed in the same day.
Mhm.
Same day, gone. Credit cards maxed out, no friends, no family except my brother. That's it. Gone, abandoned me. To now, where I'm on stages, we're building a brand new home, which will be ready in like May, June of next year.
It's
We
beautiful.
have all these companies that hire us, pay us a lot of money, right? A lot of money. We wanted to create something that anyone could afford, as long as they were willing to just put a few dollars towards it to gain a huge investment positive return. $9.95 a month to have access to what I charge thousands of dollars to people that are on the high level ticket. Just learn how to pivot. And if you can do that, Kelly, the world's yours. But again, it's not just a theory of pivot, it's an
Yeah.
action by action by
I,
action by action by action step to get you to the finish line and beyond.
so look, I love the idea of I love all the theoreticals that a lot of us put out when we're coaching, and some of the stuff, it's beautiful in theory and as an abstract, and it's pretty to talk about. But to me, what it really comes down to is I need stuff that's actionable. I need stuff that I what can I do starting today? And any of my clients, I tell them the same thing. What can you do starting today? Even if it's just figuring out a plan of action, even if it's just figuring out where that first step is. So I love the idea, man, that you're putting it out there. Like, first off, uh, I'm not going to pay thousands of dollars for pretty much anything because I'm just a regular guy. But something like this where I can see a value in it, I think that's awesome. I also think that it's really interesting that you put across. I mean, usually when we're doing this, how to win at everything, we spend a lot less time talking about people's story. But I really thought your story brings so much truth into it, because there's a million places for you to get, bottlenecked. There's a million places you can have stopped and said, my pride says I won't ask for help. My ego says I'm not gonna do construction work. I'm not gonna do janitorial work. My shame, my guilt for not doing this or that could have stopped you at any of these points. So for me, when I look at that, that's the thing that everyone needs to get to. I talk to clients all the time, and we're talking about this self-limiting ways of thinking. What I want to understand from you is, for anyone who's your client or anyone who you even just talk to help out, how do you help them get past what they believe they can't do? Because to me, that's probably like your superpower.
The way that I get people to look at where they struggle and how to get by it is the following. Tell me what your strengths are first, right?
Hmm.
I tell people all the time, it's easy to focus on the negative.
Hmm.
Don't focus on the positive. What do you do well, right? What are your strengths? When I work with every client one-on-one coaching, on our first call, I ask for three biggest strengths and three things they want to improve upon over the next 6 months or a year. And
Hmm.
because of that, when we focus on what your strengths are first and we highlight that, then you look at things you want to work on, it's not as bad. You're like, okay, I'm really strong here. well, maybe if I do this or pivot here or do that, I can get my weaknesses to improve. And man,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be okay. So
Yeah.
I really feel that is a real big point, because at the end of the day, Kelly, I can sit here and say all the time, well, what are you bad at? What do you need
Mm-hmm.
help with? And again, that's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is, though, people's mindset, there's three things you need to do to have a really positive mindset. Number one is have to have good physiology. If you're gonna move and be out and be going and be kind of get things moving in that direction, you have to have really good physiology and say, hey, I can move, I'm gonna get this done, I'm gonna get that done, and have positive energy. Second
Mm-hmm.
thing is you have to control your mental focus, right? So you're looking at things, control that if you don't do something well, it's okay. I told a client this day, I have two kids that I coach. One's a freshman in high school, one's a senior. The dad's a good friend of mine. I coach both of his sons. I told his senior, I said, look, every time you go to the gym, you either get better or you learn. You don't fail. That's
Mm-hmm.
the same attitude you have to have in sports. You're never a failure in sports, right? You may not have won the game or you might have done as best as you could. That's fine. But you're never a failure. You're only a failure if you don't give it your all and you know you don't give it your all. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. That's the only time. You give it your all. I don't care if you win the game, get your butt kicked, lose. It doesn't matter. I played some monsters in my career. Monsters. Never quit. I always brought my A game. Did I win every battle? No. Did I get my ass kicked every once in a while? Yep, sure did. But I didn't quit, right? That's not a failure. So that's the mindset you have to have. Control your mental focus. And the third thing, for goodness sake, I made a note on my phone. Believe at your core that you deserve to succeed. That is the biggest part people don't understand. They don't look at themselves and say, well, I deserve success. I don't know if I deserve this. I haven't achieved a lot. I haven't done enough. No, you have. Yeah, you have. You're right, Ken. Positivity rules. Because the minute you allow your mindset to think negative, you have to work twice as hard to reprogram it to turn it the other way. So again, like I said, I mean, people and how I'm very different, right? How I work for my coaching is I charge a fee of it's either 6 months or a year. I don't do month to month. If I don't have you for 6 months minimum, I can't help turn you around. But again, and compared to other coaches out there, Kelly, I'm extremely affordable, but it's still a higher ticket. But this program was created to help people with pivoting, and not just pivoting to a new phase of life, pivoting out of a mindset if you're there. Because again, I had that negative mindset making $8.25 an hour. I had the negative mindset when I had the spoiled milk moment. At that exact moment. Now, after I was done, I realized I was the issue. I got to fix things. But I've been there. I've had the negative mindset when I got told no for 2.5 years on every paid speaking job, right? I've been there. So again, this whole pivot is really designed to help people, no matter if they're trying to get to a new lane or they're trying to get out of a mindset. But again, it's got to be affordable, because again, that's why we want to do this, because I wanted people to get something that anyone, no matter who you are, could afford, as long as you're committed to making the real change.
Whew. All right. One of the things that I would like to ask pretty much all of my guests, uh, really to get perspective. Um, well, we're talking about success. We're talking about leadership, man. And when I picture it for myself, it's one way. It's going to be different for you. It's going to be your own individual way. Let me ask you: at the end of all of this, man, at the end of last day of Marcus's world, and you're on your deathbed, how do you know if you actually won? How do you know that you've done enough? What makes you happy and content with what your life has been?
So my book, The Success Cycle, which I've told you about, if I have people in my life, especially my daughters, that when I leave can know the 3-step process for success in their life, and I'm hoping that they have kids, I have grandkids, I hope I'm around for all that to kind of help them and that legacy to continue. If my daughters can do the success cycle And anybody that I come in contact with remembers it to have success, because it's exactly how I build success in my own life. Ambition, drive, hard work. I want my daughters to really live by that model. Create the roadmap for their success. That's ambition. Be driven to achieve greatness and do it for the long haul. That's inspiration over short-term or external forces and or gain. Money, fame, notoriety, that's motivation. I don't believe in motivation. I'm an inspirational personality keynote speaker. If I've motivated you, I have not done a good job. I will inspire you. So that's drive. And also understand your why and be able to explain your why to whomever you come in contact with. And the last one is hard work. Focus on yourself and not the competition. If my daughters, my grandkids, people I come in contact with through my speaking, my coaching, our online programs, our books, the more people that live their life and then do the success cycle, ambition, drive, hard work, repeat. If I have people doing that, then I know that I've done the best I could with the time that I have. That's
I like that. There has to be a feeling, a sense, though, right? Of I've done the best I can. And all right, I want to say, Marcus, thank you so much for your time this evening. I know it was a little while getting it in, man, getting it to happen. But I want to thank you so much, brother, for giving pretty much giving your personal life and giving us an example of what it looks like to actually win against adversity. So, uh, any last things? First off, let me mention I actually threw in the comments already, guys, the information about where to find Marcus's program. So you will see that there when this comes up and is posted on LinkedIn. There'll also be a link there for it there. Marcus, anything else you want to leave us with?
So I'm just going to say one thing to your audience. This is something that I had to learn, and I'm glad I learned it. And if I hadn't learned it, I wouldn't be here today. If you're not having people speak negative to you or talking about what are you doing, what are you thinking, then your goals aren't big enough. And you have to believe it before you see it. I would have never thought in a million years I'd get here this quickly if I hadn't believed in myself and the journey when I started. So if you don't believe in yourself, why would anybody else? So if people aren't talking negatively or bad about you, then your goals aren't big enough. Think about this. When I was a custodian making $8.25 an hour, nobody cared about what I was doing. No one. But now that I'm speaking, traveling, written 2 books, people are like, okay, well, all right, Marcus, I guess you can do something. So, you got a little lucky. You're going to be all right. I guess you are this. And everybody wants to tell you how great you are. You're like, yeah, no, I'm good. Thanks. Right. But now they're talking about me because I'm doing something they really aren't doing. Right. It's something about this way. If you're not being successful, people aren't going to talk bad about you. Right. So you have to prepare for that. You have to prepare for that and realize if people are talking bad about you or negative about where you're going, you're on the right path. Second thing is you have to believe it before you see it. And I'm going to leave with this last one. There's 2 parts. There's 3 parts of any successful business, right? There's marketing, there's sales, there's operations. Have all 3. Have great marketing, know how to sell, do your job. And then once you get past that point, these pillars are going to help you achieve massive success and beyond. Okay. Number 1, make sure that you have a quality product. Invest in your product. If you don't have a great product on the marketplace, don't expect to sell it at a premium price. Number 2, have operational excellence. Internal communication, external communication, policies and procedures, delegation of tasks to the right people, run your business with efficiency. And third, have excellent customer service. If your customers give you some feedback, positive and or negative, that's constructive, implement it and make the decisions and move forward. So again, looking at that retrospect, you have marketing, you have sales, you have operations. Then when you get past that, quality product, operational excellence, excellent customer service. You do those things one fold, then twofold, you're good.
Success. I feel like we're gonna have to have you on again, man, to be our business expert now and help us with some business tactics. Uh, Look, thank you so much, Marcus, again for your time, my brother. I'm gonna play us out with my cheesy outro that matches up
Yeah.
great with my cheesy intro, and and you just hold on one second. I'm gonna talk to you backstage.
All right, sounds good.
Ta-da!